The AlwaysMoto podcast with your host, David Hogan. We talk moto events from around the world. All the injuries, all the training ins and outs, the bikes, parts and gear inspections, the results. We interview your favourite riders. It's the AlwaysMoto podcast. We occasionally have some coarse language and the odd stuff up along the way. If you don't like it or you don't agree with us, turn it off right now.
I'd like to remind you that he is not a doctor.
That's right, Moto fans. This is episode 184 of the AlwaysMoto show. Proudly presented by TechnicMotorsport.com, Duramoose.com.au and Yamaha Motor Australia. I'm your host, David Hogan, the physiotherapist who knows the injuries and fitness needs of our sport of motocross and supercross and enduro and hard enduro and everything else in between. This week's show, AusProMX was in Canberra on the weekend. That was for round 2. We've got plenty to talk about with the contractor, Ben Grinly. And our guest this week is our SMX Next contender. He's from ClubMX Yamaha. It's number 9 of Ryder Malinoski, and it's a pre-record. It's obviously the wrong time zones for him to be up and doing these things, so we've got a pre-record. We'll play that at the end of the show, but we had a great chat with Ryder the other day. He's looking ahead to the race this weekend. The SMX Next program is back on this weekend in the Supercross series. Now, Supercross-wise, motocross-wise, you need suspension that works. TechnicMotorsport.com is your place to go to for all your suspension needs. Shims, bushes, seals, fork tubes, the special coated fork tubes. You want to get it from there. You want to get some for your bike, you need TechnicMotorsport.com. Full A-kit suspensions as well. Now they have their website set up for you to shop for your bike, for your currency. They've got that currency converter. They ship with DHL internationally to most countries, so you can get all your stuff from TechnicMotorsport.com no matter where you are. So check them out for all your suspension needs. Don't forget Duramoose.com.au, Yamaha Motor Australia. We mentioned with that WR250 that we are running around on. You're going to hear about that later in the show because we've got some updates on what's happening with it. Pivot pegs and Tech 167 3D printing for the show support. Don't forget on our YouTube channel side of things, one, you can get in our live chat below. If you're listening on this after the fact, you need to get a part of the live show and get into the channel and the chat and ask questions as the show is going on because we can answer them live on the show. You can also join the community there. And if you join the community, that helps support us because you're going to be able to pay a small fee. And we're talking like $2-3 a month. And it just helps us keep the lights on, keep bringing you content here on the AlwaysMoto show. So please do that. If you want to get a t-shirt, there's different levels of support within the community, or you can just pay for one direct, $25 plus postage and handling. You need to email info@alwaysmoto.com with that t-shirt order in the subject line, and we'll get back in touch via payments for PayPal and all those sorts of stuff. So to find all our supporters, the discount codes that go along with them, follow the links in the show notes below or on our bio, on our social pages. You've got that Linktree app there. It'll drop up all of the pages we need to get all those codes and support our supporters of the AlwaysMoto show. Now, let's bring him in. It's been another big week of action. The contractor's back with us. And what happened to that? I've gone back to that and it's changed my video straight off the bat, but you're nice and close, Benny. We'll run with it anyway. I didn't save what I changed. I don't know what happened. Let me try this one. Oh, it's on the wrong one. There we go. I picked the wrong one. Benny, how we doing, mate?
All right. How are you? I was about to say we're going to have to blame our guest that we don't have.
Well, I'll blame the guest because I changed it for the guest because the damn phone situation on the whole vertical and on the side, I don't know what it is. On my phones, when it's on the side, it works better. But on everybody else's phone, it must be. I'm going to blame the Apple thing again because the Apple must be the ones that when they're upright and they turn, they just stay the same. They don't actually auto-rotate. So it's got to be a slack Apple thing. That's probably why the Apple boss is actually resigning in September. I saw that news today too. So that's probably he saw our show and he thought, I can't take the the embarrassment of the Apple phones anymore on their show.
It's possible. Oh. I'm surprised. It's only about nearly 6 a.m. near the ClubMX facility. Surely Ryder could have jumped on. That's not too bad.
Look, Ryder's probably probably would do it because he's such a legend of a bloke. But I dare say he's either on a cycle bike or in the gym doing crunches or something. I don't know if you've seen. I was scrolling through his Facebook or his Instagram account, I should say, to find a decent picture, and then I realised I had my own. But as I was looking through it, there's a shot of him with a shirt off, and the kid's ripped, like dead set ripped. So he's probably in the gym at this time, just busting his gut. Maybe he's got it on listening to us. I don't know, but yeah, he probably could do it. It is a little early, but
yeah, I think though to have the rig like he does, I think that might have saved him a bit earlier in the year from not having a worse injury.
Yeah, definitely. That crash was gnarly, and his recovery was pretty quick. So, yeah, I dare say the work that he puts in the gym helped out a lot, both pre and post that situation. So, yeah, no, definitely an interesting situation there for that one. But, yes, Ryder is a legend. Got linked up with him just before our Supercross series last year through connections, which was great. And then every time I've reached out to him, he's been awesome to just be available and then to chat with us as well. So we'll check out that later in the show. Benny, let's talk AusProMX. It was round 2 in Canberra. I think the headlines from the weekend are going to be the beaten domination, the Alex Anderson pass, and I think leading maybe all of it, track prep. What do you reckon?
I want no part of that track. I don't want to ride it. I don't want to look at it. Last year, we were saying before we hit record, I don't think the track was that bad. The second motos were wet, so I just ended up a swap anyway. But even after the first motos, I don't think that track was that bad.
No, but I feel like, and I was saying to you as well in sort of our little pre-show rambles about what we're going to with topics and whatnot, when they prepped that track for the state titles that I was commentating at back at the end of, end of February, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. And I get to do those preview laps. And honestly, I hated doing that one at that venue because of the rip depth that they had on that track. And people were making fun of the fact that I had the RM125 out there and I couldn't make the jumps. It wasn't necessarily the 125 that was the problem. It was the fact that when you came off the berms that were obviously left and shaped nicely and firm, and as you came off the end of the berm and dropped back into the main section of the track before you got to the face of the next takeoff, the track was ripped so deep, it just sucked every bit of horsepower and momentum out of the bike. And you physically had no speed when you got to the face of the up ramp. So they were ripping, in my opinion, they were ripping it too deep for the type of soil that they had there. Rip it that deep if it's a sand track or a loamy sort of soil. But this is a clay track. And if you rip it that deep, it's just going to mold itself back into these gnarly ass ruts as what you saw on the coverage that everybody's watching. And like you said, you want no part of that stuff when there's 20 of them across the track, right?
Yeah, well, especially that first straight after you turn right after the start. In those first motos, the riders were coming flying through there and there was water spraying everywhere because there was holes just full of water. Which leads to the comments that I got from a few people that the area hasn't had rain at all in recent times. So why have we overwatered that track so much? Your guess is as good as mine.
They must have really big dams down there that they were trying to just, take some of the water out of.
Well, there is a dam on the right-hand side of that first straight. So whether they were trying to just empty that or... Who knows? I do know there was a rumor years back about some of the prep at another venue for the Nationals. Let's say it's in the Sydney region. And the talk was that a certain body of control was dictating that they required a minimum amount of water be applied to certain tracks in preparation for these races. So there was no dust. Now, I think that got a bit changed because there were some points where tracks were flooded essentially for, practice qualifying and to the point that they were, useless in terms of riding. And then they didn't develop well across the day because of that, because everyone would just tiptoe around a line and nobody would venture into the bog holes essentially, which is a fair call.
And I did notice that I got a little bit of the pre-show, like as in the live stream that they did on through Facebook. And I believe there was a YouTube issue, or somebody was commenting at one point about YouTube not being streamed via YouTube, and they were referencing that New South Wales could do it. Haha, yes, we can. But I was watching that, and they were talking about that there was track prep going on that was changing the venue because it was so bad in the morning, and then by the time they got to the next ones, they'd basically backdragged a lot of the slop and stuff, but just filled in some of the ruts. And then you hear Beaton's comments after Moto 1, I think it was after Moto 1, and he was saying he wasn't sure and he was timid in the first laps because the track looked good, but the ruts were hidden by the backfill, the backdrag that had been done. So it was actually somewhat dangerous.
Yeah, it didn't look good at all. And Giselle going into those ruts like ankle deep, like ankle, foot pegs, like everything inside that rut. That's how deep they were. So it's just to go that speed that they were going in those ruts and around that track is the skill level is obviously very high, but yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and you see that skill level separates the field out a lot, right? Like the guys that are good and comfortable in those situations make good results. The ones that are maybe fast in other venues but not good in that sort of technical depth of a rut and length of a rut, because there's two different parts to this. There's the ruts in the corner, but then there's the ruts that were continuing all the way down straights, and you've got to be able to hit that at speed. Those guys aren't comfortable in that, drop right back, and we get a big separation through the field. And I'm pretty sure that's what we were seeing. Like Beaton was lapping well into the field. So, you know, not that he didn't do that at Wonthaggi, but I felt like it was a little bit more prominent in this round at Canberra. So, yeah, just... I don't know. They obviously like their deep rip at Canberra, and they like their hoses. Maybe they're going to get some feedback that changes that, but hopefully it doesn't go the complete opposite direction and we end up with, you know, just dry, baked out concrete dust bowl for next year. But you never know. People tend to overcorrect in these situations when they just need to just adjust fractionally, and they would have probably hit on a sweet spot. So let's see what they do if they remain on the series next year. But I'm sure there's going to be some comments about that, you know, in future interviews by people about how that was, because it wasn't fantastic. Or go on, Benny.
No, I was going to say that the last corner, the corner before you sort of go along that back section there, you could see it on the camera how much dust was there in that section, and there wasn't really much dust anywhere else in that. So yeah, there's definitely needs to be a bit of a touch-up next year.
Well, you think about it too, like when there was some dust in some of those sections, like there was a decent amount in some sections of dust. If you can't see because of the dust and then you've got 50,000 ruts, you're asking for trouble too. So, yeah, look, I get it. Clay tracks are difficult to prep and keep watered, and you know, and so that we don't get dust across a busy schedule. Like we had a lot of races going on. It's hard to keep that moisture in, but they've got to figure something out because what they did wasn't it. So anyway, all right, let's talk MX1. Jed Beaton, just the man on point right now. Do I throw it out this early on and say, can he go undefeated? Like he's looking very sharp. His main competition in Kyle Webster at the moment, not so sharp at the moment, particularly in the fact that he starts, what he's normally known for, seem to have just maybe not necessarily gone away, but they're not there at the moment, at least not consistently there. And he did do some interesting things in terms of where he was starting from on the gate this past weekend. He was more mid to outside. He was confident in his starts, he just didn't get any.
Yeah, we talked about it, you know, that Webster would be Beaton's main, you know, competition, but it's just not there. There was a good late charge in that second moto, but I think even if he'd got to that point, you know, Beaton probably would have stepped it up a bit and kept, you know, probably maybe extended it out. He was probably just, you know, calming it down a bit. But yeah, I'm a bit surprised from Webster. I thought, yeah, he got lucky with the crash in Wonthaggi to walk away from that. Not too bad. But then it was on the ground again in Canberra. And, yeah, I don't know. He just doesn't seem himself.
No, it's his start MO is not there, which is making it difficult for him. But like I said, do we call the undefeated season from beaten? It's a long way to go at this point, and there's a lot of factors in motocross that can go into this. Obviously, he was on a good run last year, got an injury, fell out of the series, didn't get the title. I think his first aim is obviously securing a title, but if he keeps riding the way he's riding, I don't see anyone really being near him to beat him. As much as you said, reference that charge from Webster, I don't want to say it's easy to charge up like that from the mid-pack when you're faster than the majority of the rest of the field, but when the guy out in front is the same speed as you and he's just marking where everybody's at and he's cruising essentially, he's got a gear that he can go up. Yeah, it makes the conversation a little bit more interesting if you know the intricacies of the sport and what he was potentially doing. So yeah, there's something to this. We'll have to keep an eye on it and see if it continues on. Gilman's a good one coming up because it's a more softer venue. It's probably more suited to Webster. So if he can break this streak of 4 motos for beaten, I'd say it's going to be down in Gilman. So we'll see how we go. Crawford, Nathan Crawford. The story that nobody really knows about. We talked about it last show, Benny. We didn't know, but we speculated it was going to be Moto Coach Honda. Turns out it was Moto Coach Honda, and he was at Canberra, so he did make that switch between rounds and be confident enough to be there and be on that Honda. But nothing has been said anywhere, really.
No, and that, going back to our man Scoops, he got us let us in on the Moto Coach Honda bit. But I did hear a conversation on Friday, which I think may have been related to him. But if you want to hear that or see that, you'll have to go in the group chat.
Yes, the group chat where we keep some of these in-house secrets just for the select few. So if you want to know, if you're watching the show or you're listening to the show and you want to hear what this story is, because it's juicy, you need to come and join the AlwaysMoto group chat on Instagram, and you can do that via messaging myself and or joining the YouTube community. So we will put you straight in that as well. So a special story that's in there in the group chat. You can come and find out. You've got to seek it out. It's not coming to you for free. All right. I want to talk about Empire Kawasaki. Dean Ferris had a good opening round. Not so good this past round in Canberra. Claims there was a front brake issue in Moto 1 from a bit of a collision with another rider. That happens occasionally. And then a crash mid to late Moto 2. I think he was a 9-10 or a 10-11 scores. I can't remember exactly. But not great from Ferris. And in terms of his teammate Brad West, there was a little sign of life from Brad West in one of the motos in Canberra, running up. I think he was in third at one position, but a crash midway through and then just nothing. If I'm Empire Kawasaki, I've got to say I'm a little disappointed and underwhelmed with my riders through 2 rounds so far.
Yeah, we wondered how it would go before the start of the season. And like you said, round 1 wasn't too bad for Ferris. But, yeah, both of them on the weekend wasn't great. You got to be probably pretty disappointed. You expect, obviously, more and things happen. But, when you sort of hire people and, you expect them to be up front and, in the conversation. So I think, Empire will be pretty disappointed at this point.
Yeah, they're looking to be that top tier team between themselves, being Kawasaki, the Honda guys there with Uribe, and obviously the CDR Yamaha, and throwing KTM Australia there as well. So top 4 team. They're trying to be that way. So far, their guys teetering on the edge of that. That podium helps them get there, but if you take out that podium from Montague, from Ferris, they don't have much to show. So hopefully they're going to back this up with a better result and better showing in pretty much 3 weeks, I think it is. May 10, I believe. I'll talk about that later when we go through our events coming up, but that'll be the next one in Gilman. So, they got some work to do.
Yeah, I mean, you give them time to get used to the bike and whatever else and go through a few races, but you'd still probably think that they're a little bit better than what they're showing.
Yeah, I feel like Brad West should have a lot more. I think he's got a hand issue. I read on one of his social posts.
Posters,
Yeah, good words. So yeah, I think there's a hand issue. Wasn't very descriptive with that, but maybe that's been holding him back. Maybe he'll clear that up by the next round. If he doesn't and it continues on, you have to wonder what's going on in terms of like why it isn't cleared. We've had, it'll be basically 6 or 8 weeks from when this series started to where that is. Most things should have cleared up by then that didn't require surgery. So we'll see. One more I'm going to comment on in the MX1 side of things. I happen to notice, I turned the coverage on. One of the first things that I noticed during the MX Moto 1 was one of our regulars here on the show, let's say, AlwaysMoto with a flat tyre. The man on the Kawasaki, the 82 machine, had a flat tyre. So I couldn't help myself, Benny. We've got Duramoose on board here. I sent him the code. I sent him the AlwaysMoto 10 code and said, look, mate, this will save you. You will have no more flats if you get one of these. And I don't think he appreciated it all that much, but he got a laugh at all the same. So, look, I thought I'd throw that one out there. He got a flat tyre. He wouldn't get one if he had a Duramoose, so I sent him the AlwaysMoto 10 code.
I think there would have been a good roll of the eyes, a little chuckle, and then he probably would have threw the phone in the van.
Well, I'm pretty sure he's still travelling, so he might have not been appreciative of that at that moment in time as he was driving across God knows where. So anyway, good point. He needs a Duramoose. All right, MX2. Pretty impressive weekend from Cade Kingsford, I've got to say. The MX3 graduate this year. Didn't take him long to find the front of the MX2 field, Benny.
No, we sort of mentioned it a little bit, and I think the preview show or the show beforehand. But yeah, I know he's been on the bike a little bit longer, but his brother's got to be not too happy with the way Cade's going, and it's probably not ideal, but yeah, it's good for Cade to be up there, and just straight into it.
Well, I'm actually kind of shocked by it because at that very same venue when he was there for the state titles for the New South Wales rounds, he didn't run up the front. He ran 4th or 5th, I think it was, through the moto. So his brother was in front of him. Dylan Walsh was in front of him. Reese Budd was in front of him. And I believe Reed Taylor at different points was in front of him. So I didn't see this speed because those guys that were in front of him, he's now beating at the same venue only 2 months later. So there is a decent step up for Cade Kingsford in just that little bit of time there. Whether that was start dependent, confidence dependent, purely time and development, like obviously he's young, he's growing still and getting stronger, and maybe there's more fitness involved, maybe he found a better setting, I don't know. But yeah, I figured he'd be good. I figured it'd be later in the season. But yeah, it's round 2 and he's already won. So I'm shocked a little bit. Not shocked, surprised.
Yeah, I think he'd be happy with that. It's, I guess it's a confidence thing too. Like now he's got that win out of the way. Good luck stopping his confidence.
Well, that's an interesting one. He's going to go. I think he's going to go well now in this series. He was already in the comments post race on the coverage. He was already talking, championships side of things, like he's in it, sort of. So I don't think you're going to stop this man if unless something goes astray. So keep an eye on Cade Kingsford for this MX2 title this year. Now, the man who probably thought he was going to be battling with this, other than his brother, Dylan Walsh on the KTM. Not a bad weekend, but not a great weekend. But yet just another weekend where he probably thought that he should be coming into this particularly MX2 class in Australia and potentially winning these rounds. And he hasn't yet. And I get that there's probably still some acclimatization going on to Australian conditions because he hasn't really raced here, if not for a long time. Maybe also with the equipment and machinery that he's running. But I thought Dylan Walsh would be better. And he hasn't been.
Did you see what I sent you before we started the show?
I did. And that foot that you sent me, I was going to write back to him and say, look, it's a good time to start an only feet account, but I didn't. But look, that obviously doesn't help things. He has a massively swollen, I think it's his left foot. It's black and blue. So check out Dylan Walsh's Insta posts to see that what Benny's talking about. Or join our group chat. Again, group chat reference. Benny's plugging that thing all the time with good info. But yeah, I don't know. I still don't think that's enough.
Yeah, well, we said when he went to the state titles that, he's probably there trying to learn the tracks, whatever else, get the experience. Not too bad. The takeout at the end, which I think is completely fine, doesn't help him a great deal. Lose, I don't know, I think 1 or 2 spots, maybe none. But yeah, I expected him to, probably be running up with the, at the front, if not second at least.
Well, how about that Alex Anderson move? Let's talk about that specifically, and then Dylan Walsh's response. So let's go to the move first. I've watched that a few times back because I thought it was wicked. From the sense that it was absolutely perfect timing, perfect positioning. He didn't necessarily take him out. He took the line away from him and gave him the opportunity to sort of see him on the inside and shut down or run wider, and Dylan didn't do that very well. I think Alex Anderson should be applauded for that move and how well he executed it.
Yeah, I think if you're going to leave the door open like that, like there was a heap of room to get that done. I think it's fair. I think it's fine. But yeah, if you're going to leave the door open, you've got to expect that. But for him and his response and going back to Supercross last year and seeing him take people out the same way, yeah, I don't know. I probably would have just kept my mouth shut at that point.
Look, I can see where if I was in Dylan's shoes, I could see where when you first come off the track, it's literally just happened. You'd be heated. I can see that. And then that is probably the worst time to have a microphone shoved in your face for a post-race podium interview, because you are heated and you are probably going to say something that you might have controlled or said differently given another half an hour or an hour. But he said what he said, and I don't mind that either. I don't mind the fact that he said that, if he gets the opportunity, he's going to give one back to Alex Anderson. I think it's fair in racing, so long as it's not a T-bone, right? If he does it in the same manner that Alex Anderson did it, staying within the track limits, door being left open and just taking a line away from you, by all means, let's do it. Let's see what the response is. Let's go. But if you do it in a manner where you're just purely out to get him and T-bone him or go for his leg or something like that, no, not in it. Because Alex Anderson's move, like I said, I thought it was great. I thought it was a last lap, man, desperation, but massively controlled and well executed.
Yeah, I think they need to keep a camera on those two just for the whole races from now on, because I reckon for the rest of the series, if they get one or more chances, I'd say it's going to be on.
I can't remember. I'm trying to think who it was in Supercross, but there was I was at Redcliffe and somebody took somebody out, and then that person got up and was continuing on, and then for the rest of that race, I'm like, my partner Jen's there with us. We're both taking photos, doing stuff for the media coverage, and I kept elbowing her, going, he's getting closer. He's getting closer. He's catching him. He's going to do it. Keep the camera. And I just kept the camera on those two. Whenever they were within range, I had the camera on those two because I was waiting for it. It didn't quite eventuate. But this is what the situation is now, right? Somebody's got to get this on camera. So
yeah.
Oh, right. All right. Enough with those two, but I think they're going to be loving each other in the future weeks here as the series rolls on. Ryder Kingsford. Now, we were going to have Ryder Kingsford on tonight. He managed to forget that he had a flight right at the point to when we're on live, so we're going to catch him hopefully tomorrow. We'll see how we go with that, and then we'll plug in that interview in the following week's show, so we'll see how that all plays out. But look, I've written down in my notes the jury is still out because he's still coming back from all this situation. He's coming back from an injury post-Supercross season. He's changed teams. He's got a few things he's working through in terms of the injury and the bike. He looked a little better until he wasn't when he fell off in Moto 2. So, like I said, jury's out for me, but I think there's more coming. Obviously, his brother's doing really well, so it wouldn't be much to expect the two of them to share some notes and become closer in speed here later as the series goes on. But is he giving up too much now to be a threat in the series? Points overall? Maybe.
Yeah, I think it might be just out of reach now. That crash didn't help at all in that second moto. A lot of SCT Logistic Hondas on the ground yesterday or Sunday. There was a lot of them on the ground at different times throughout different motos compared to other people, including him. So I'm not really sure what, there's sort of more them than anyone else. But yeah, I thought he probably would have been a lot, like there's a little injury there, but I thought he would have been a bit more customized to the bike and ready to go by now.
Yeah, I can't really, like I said, jury's out. I can't really blame him for the situations he's at, but I'm just worried that he's given up too many points at the beginning of this series now, and maybe it's just too far out of his reach. Given the fact that I thought he was going to be the man after last season with Brodie Conley not being here this year, I think he still thinks he can be, and maybe he will be, but like we said, I'm just worried about the fact of the points. Maybe he's given up too many to bridge later on. Maybe we're talking completely out our butts. We'll find out as the year goes on, and we'll find out more from what the struggles are, hopefully when we get to chat to him here shortly. So we'll see how we go with that side of things too. But speaking of similar sort of scenarios here, going to bring it up again, the 29, Noel Ferguson. Is it a Queensland thing? Is he only good in Queensland conditions?
We said it last week, and yeah, the same things happen again. The national round's not great, but the Sunny State titles are perfect. So, yeah, I don't... even him on his socials, he's like, I think I left myself in the Sunny State, in the Sunny Coast.
Maybe he's been listening to the show and he's buying into the same concept.
Yeah, but, yeah, it's not ideal. Not ideal.
I got to say, if I'm Yamaha Monster Energy team there, my two guys, I'm not stoked with their results through 2 rounds. Between him and, the Japanese rider, Soya Nakajima. Like Soya, probably from a Japanese standpoint, completely brand new to our series, probably I'm okay with. If Noah was sort of top 5 battling for the podiums, but he's not quite there. So, like I said, I think then that makes both my guys, I look at both my guys with a little bit of a, come on, get to it,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. One's sort of got a hall pass, but the other one, should definitely be doing a lot better.
Yeah, well, let's hope that that he steps up in round 3. He's going to have to do something soon because he can't wait for the Queensland rounds to sort of redeem himself. Otherwise, we will just have the 29's a QLD only man or something on a T-shirt, which is not what we want to do. But it just seems to be fitting the narrative at the moment. So, yeah. No, we want you to do better than we're doing, basically, is what we're trying to get out of this. All right. I've got a few negatives in MX2. I expected more from Reese Bud on the 22 Moto Coach Honda after what he did at the state titles in Canberra, where he ran with Beaton in the MX1 class on a 250. I thought he was going to be, full of confidence and whatnot going into this one, but I think I read he had a poor qualifying, which then gave him a poor gate pick, which then led to bad starts and then having to work through the pack. So I can see how the day snowballs. I just want to see the Reese that I've seen at the state titles. I want to see that man at nationals because the man at state titles is flying. Not what I'm seeing so far at nationals. Yeah,
and I think he even did really well in the in the Sunny State titles as well. He was racing them as well. So sort of another Ferguson thing. He does well elsewhere, but then national time's not ideal.
No, and look, I don't know whether it's just purely there's more guys on the start, and so it's harder for them to get a start, and then that dictates, their sort of running pace for the day, or whether it's like a confidence thing, and there's too many people here, and I've got to try and keep up with him or beat him or whatnot, and they just get in their heads. Don't know, but something is amiss for a couple of these guys when it comes to the national side of things, and they need to work that out quick so that they can progress along. All right, MX3, Hayden Draper. The man is solid. 3 out of 4 motos so far, and if it wasn't for a crash/bad start in the second moto at Wonthaggi, and even then getting bumped in the closing stages from the man running second, he might have a 1-2-1-1 scores here and be even further out on the championship. As it is, I think it's a 1-3-1-1. He's your points leader now in MX3 on that WBR Monster Energy Yamaha. So solid for the Kiwi.
Yeah, I think they said on the coverage he won MX2 in New Zealand, and then has obviously come to MX3. So to win that over there, then step into MX3 here and perform, sort of straight away on probably, as we said earlier, for Sawyer, different tracks that he's probably not used to. It's a really good job.
Yeah, no, and look, I've tried to catch up with Hayden today, and we might be trying to line him up before round 3 for an interview. So hopefully we'll be able to hear from the young Kiwi, because it is a super impressive start to the season, and it'll be super impressive to see how he goes when we get to round 3 and we get a completely different soil type. One that I think he might be better from the New Zealand tracks side of things, because they're usually a bit more loamy. So maybe this streak continues on. Unfortunately, on the other side of that team truck there at WBR, the man we spoke to last week on the show, Jack Devison, I thought he was going to go really well. He had a good start in Moto 1. Then things just started to unravel. Some mistakes, some crashes, bad starts. He dropped from the points lead, out of the points lead, and he's got some work to do. I said to him, I messaged him today, Benny, and I was like, not what you want. And I think he just lost his mojo there partway through Moto 1 and just didn't get it back for the rest of the day.
Yeah, and I don't think getting overlapped in Moto 2 is going to help the confidence either.
Yeah, that was a hard look, right? Like on the coverage, you kind of saw that.
Your teammate overlapping you. Not a great thing for him.
No, so I said to him too, like, basically the thing is now for him as a young guy, he's got to not take what happened on the weekend into this week of training and into the next race weekend for him. He's got to basically just check that at the door as he drove out of the gate there at Canberra, and just start again with fresh mindset. Because if he continues to drag what happened there and he can dwell on it, it's going to eat him and not be a good mindset for him going to the future rounds. So hopefully he can do that, but it's easier said than done. So we'll see how that plays out for Jack Devison. Our other man that we've had on here regularly, and our one of our favourite men in the group chat, because he's becoming a bit of a regular chatter in the group chat, AlwaysMoto group chat, Riley Burgess, the 275 on the Coastal Motorcycles KTM. Damn, he had a good day. 2-4 moto scores, second overall. He's getting himself into the points game. I think he's second in the championship now. He is doing a good job. And
17th to second in that first moto.
That's what I mean.
17th
like
to second.
Yeah, just a solid effort on the weekend. So props to Riley. He's earned this so far. I think there's more there still, and I don't know if you noticed, Benny, but Moto 2, there was a lot of this.
Yep.
The head turns, for the people that aren't on YouTube, I was rotating my head. I've seen him do it stacks at the state titles. He definitely loves to have a look over the shoulder at who's behind him and where they're at. And I just want to tell him to look ahead and maybe duct tape the helmet forwards, like somehow just tape him so that he can't turn his head. It's okay sometimes, but he's got to worry more in front of him, not behind him, and just tells me that he's maybe not focusing on where he could be.
Yeah, and I think with a good start and, confidence in a start, he doesn't need to waste time, 17th to second. You put that energy in trying to win. If you get a top 3, top 4 start, then you use that to win. So yeah, like you said, I think there's more there for him. Definitely.
Well, hopefully this is like confidence inspiring as well, so that it starts to grow on him, and then he can take that into the next start and the next early laps, and just work through it all easier. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, those three guys there, interesting day for all of them. Pretty mixed up results moving back from that too for the rest of the field there in MX3. It's the usual spice of the MX3. They're up, then they're down. So the learning curve is steep in MX3 for the young kids. Want to quickly touch on the 85 class and just basically round of applause, Blake Bohannon. The kid is insanely fast, smooth as well, like good technique and just smooth and sensible with what he's doing. Obviously, he's on a great setup there with the GYTR Yamaha junior program. But I either want him just to go to MX3 on the 85 or just join MX3 already, because he clearly is above that field in the 85 class by a significant bit. As much as he's young enough and capable enough to be on that bike, I feel like he needs a challenge. He needs more challenges to keep growing and progressing. And I don't think he's going to get that in this class unless he sits on the gate and lets the field go and then tries to work through them, because I reckon he could still probably do that too.
Yeah, I think we saw it in Supercross, last year, and he's carried it over. Went overseas and did things as well and did pretty well in that. So, yeah, you're probably right. He probably would go all right in the MX3 class.
Yeah, I reckon you'd just throw him in there on the 85 as well. Just let him have it. I reckon he could do it. So anyway, well done, Blake Bohannon. It's impressive, but yeah, I want to see this development because I reckon he can go far. I just want to see him pushed, in these development phases so that he gets the right learning curve going on earlier on and not have to worry about it later when maybe it's going to cost him a points or a championship or money as a early pro sort of thing. So we'll see how we go. All right, let's switch gears, Benny. Super motocross time. AMA Supercross is continuing on. I've got to say Cleveland was an interesting round for a few different reasons, from the weather aspect and the prep that went into that venue. They did a great job there. Not so much Canberra. But Cleveland was great. But WTF Hunter Lawrence ran from partway through Moto 2 of that Triple Crown, and then definitely Moto 3. Jeez, it doesn't get much worse than that one.
No, it's not ideal. That first Moto was brilliant out front.
There was freedom in the riding in Moto 1.
Yeah, just beautiful. As soon as the conditions changed, it was like you just forgot how to ride a bike.
Yeah, I think on the Moto 2 that was like a little bit of championship protection, and maybe just realised he didn't get a start, so he didn't push like super crazy. But I don't know what happened Moto 3. Yeah, well, I sort of do. There was a bad start, or at least a bad pinch into turn 1 that set him way back, and he was starting to work through. And I thought if he just kept riding like he normally would ride, he would pick off 2 or 3 guys and he'd end up third on the podium. That would have been just fine. Instead, he somehow ends up on the deck, and then on the deck again, and just the fuel cap issue. Oh my God. For all the things that you could have happen in a crash, to knock the breather hose out of the fuel cap, and then because there's no one-way valve in the line anymore connected to the top of the cap, the fuel is just spraying out. 1, he's lucky he didn't burn his nuts, and 2, he's lucky that he didn't get any in his eyes or run out of fuel and end up, taking a trip to Indonesia. So he got lucky as when it went bad, but he didn't get that lucky, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the last thing you want is fuel splashing around, because, like you said, if you burn that area, it's not going to be fun. And if you get it in your eyes, then it's even worse. So, I think the Marchbanks crash was a bit unlucky, just a bit mistimed. I wouldn't really blame Marchbanks for that, but that sort of hurt the momentum going forward. But yeah, 1 point, it's close now.
Yeah, I gather Feld is stoked on the promo point of view because the attention is going to be still on this series pushing right to the very end, because unless something happens at the next round and one of them significantly loses a lot of points, it's on like Donkey Kong right till Salt Lake City. So neither of them can afford a mistake now. Neither of them can afford to, have a little cold or a sniffle and be, 5% off fitness-wise. They can't afford to pick a wrong, tyre, setting, clicker change, none of that. It's all basically got to be 100% accurate and effort to get this done. And I don't know who it's going to be at this point, because they both have had average results in the last 2 weeks. Both have had a win or a bad weekend. So let's see what this weekend brings. If they both go 1-2, yeah, it's anybody's. There's no just riding this in to take the championship. You've got to ride it like you stole it and basically just go for it. You can't second guess yourself.
Yeah, if I was a betting man, I wouldn't be betting. You just cannot pick who. You just can't pick it. You just have no idea.
I've got to say the confidence with Kenny is all time right now, but that wheelie and salute to the crowd on the last lap was just priceless. Like, that man is on cloud 9 at the moment. He's so stoked that he's in a championship battle in Supercross to the death, and it's showing. So I don't think he would care if he got second. Obviously, he'd be disappointed, but I think the fact that he's been able to do what he's doing, he is loving life.
Yeah, I've got to agree. And it sort of showed from, I know he only did the first few rounds of World Supercross, but even then, just that confidence. Like, get off the bike, you see the happiness of winning, all that sort of stuff. It just carries over with him, and he's just so confidence-driven that, yeah, it's hard to break it.
Yeah, he's on a run. So the momentum's with him, I believe, at the moment, but maybe just. Interestingly enough, as much as we're talking about Ken and Hunter, technically Cooper Webb is still in this. He's only 22 points back. I don't think he does anything in terms of getting into the championship battle, but he is there that could potentially pick up the pieces if something goes wrong for the two of them.
Yeah, he's right there. You can never count him out.
He's sneaky. Very sneaky.
He's sneaky, but it seems to be that, obviously he does well in the Triple Crowns, but if it's a full-length race, he just doesn't seem to have that last bit of edge to stay with the top two. Not
so far, but yeah, maybe something changes, maybe nothing does. I do always say that when the years that you're having a child birth in your family, like direct your child, those years, as much as you might say you ticked all the boxes in terms of training and, physical preparation and laps on practice tracks and settings and everything, there's always just a tiny bit in your brain that holds you back just enough. And the following year, when that's not happening, is when you're free again in terms of the mind. You've not got other concerns, because you're always just looking at your wife, just making sure they're okay. There's always a concern level there, and the focus is elsewhere. So maybe this is just one of those situations where you just didn't have it this year because of, the wife's situation. Maybe he's back at it again next year. We'll see. I want to bring up, we talked about it with obviously Canberra and the track prep, the weather and the Triple Crown. And it was a bit of a topic all week last week, Benny, in terms of everyone was talking about whether if there was rain, should they scrap the Triple Crown? Should they do 2 mains? Should they do just a standard 20-minute plus a lap? I think, and I was happy for them to do this at least once in terms of having a somewhat wet or weather-affected Triple Crown to see if it was possible. I wanted the teams to go through that because they'd like to bitch and moan about some stuff at times, and I wanted to see them under pressure and what they're capable of. They are the top level of this sport. I wanted to see what they could do. So I was happy for him to go through it. It didn't rain anywhere near as much as I thought it was going to. So the prep was probably, like the between race prep probably wasn't as bad as it could have been. I'm fine with it. I think they should run them no matter what.
Yeah, it would have been good to see a full mutter, I think, like we sort of talked about. Yeah, it's hard to tell what it would have been like. Mutters aren't great, in my opinion, to watch anyway. But when you've got three, you got to start three, you got to race three. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think I agree. They're not really usually great to watch in terms of that one race. But I was thinking more along the lines of the entertainment of like, does that bike make it back to the start? Did it come back clean or not? Like, did it get all the maintenance that it would normally get in terms of the oil drop, the clutch change, the air filter change, and the wash? Or does somebody come back to the start and the thing don't start because they got water in the airbox or in a electrical connection because they were rushing? That's what I was thinking would be the interesting part of it. And does the privateers make it back and they've got the same gear on that's all muddy from the thing before? I wanted to see that. I don't know why. Maybe it's a bit sadistic of me, but I wanted to see it once. I kind of got shortchanged on it. It was there a little, but I'm fine with them getting it in a worse situation in the future.
Yeah, I think too, though, it's they need to look at, like you said, you'd want to see it, see what it's like. But I think if we're doing Triple Crowns, and I know stadiums and whatnot are hard to get, but I think they just need to be under a roof. And more of the races need to be under a roof to try and help the track conditions, because they haven't been great this year, some tracks. But yeah, that's, I just talk about it, they actually do it.
Yeah, I'm with you on the roof side of things. I think from the track crew as well, the fact that they wouldn't have to worry about trying to get plastic out on the thing, rush a build and be there all one night because the next day's meant to rain. I think they'd have a better, work-life balance if they had places with roofs. They'd probably potentially, as much as they'd spend more on the venue because it has a roof, in terms of a hiring by a field, I think they'd have a better ticket sales and less expense in terms of the track build and all the plastic and whatnot that they'd have to scrap each round afterwards. They wouldn't have that expenses. So I think it'd come out in the wash and they'd have a better product all around. So I'm with you. I just don't see them doing it. So anyway, we'll see. 250s. I'm a little checked out on the Supercross and 250s. It's lost its excitement for me. As much as Cole looked like he was going to drop a lot of points there at one point, he ended up gaining points on Seth Hammaker. So Cole Davis is doing a great job. Hayden Deegan obviously already wrapped up the West. I don't see much changing, but still interesting to watch in the moment. But to comment on now, not so much. But I have got something different. Obviously, we're looking ahead here. I've been sort of starting to count down some days with some photos on the socials till outdoors. I think we're down to 40-something. I can't remember exactly tonight. But in terms of that and riders returning, I've been hearing from some sources Chance Hymas is ripping at the test tracks.
You're going to let us in on who the source is this time?
I can do that again. And look, it's as simple as this. So, like, that source is fantastic,
Yeah.
You got that one this time?
Yep, it came through with nothing.
It must be, like, I'm telling you, when I go to release the source information, I don't do anything here. It seems that the microphone decides that it can't be released. It's a media special microphone, that's protecting the source.
Maybe it might have to end up in the group chat one day.
Maybe. All right, sources could continue to be protected here on the AlwaysMoto show. All right, let's do a very short look at the emergency department. The emergency department. All the injuries, all the gory details, and when they'll be back on track. It's the list you really don't want to be on. Now, Benny, pretend for a second for me like you didn't see my injury update on Eli Tomac yesterday that I put up. Pretend you never saw it. If you just saw the crash that was in the group chat early on Sunday morning, what would you tell me was injured?
Shoulder and ribs.
I would have said, very well done, sir. Until I read the KTM press release that said he had a hip injury and not once mentioned a shoulder or ribs or head or anything that looked like it contacted the ground first. So, conspiracy theorists among us might say that hip injury is something that would be hanging around causing these poor results from beforehand. And maybe he's been carrying this along. Maybe he tripped over in the pits later on and just twisted it as he was trying to stretch his shoulder out. I don't know. But somehow he's ended up with a hip injury that's getting further medical examination, as they say, this week. So, I don't think we see him for the rest of Supercross now that he's missed a race and he's out of the championship contention. What say you, Benny?
I agree. I also don't think the hip. He did sort of sit on the side of the track for a minute and probably collect his thoughts for a second. But the way he got up and walked, and they had the footage there, was more like, I'm struggling to breathe, my ribs hurt, and my shoulder might be a bit sore. Not my hip is playing up, because then you probably wouldn't walk. You'd probably get carried over. I don't know.
It's such a weird situation. When I saw that PR, I had to read it twice because I was like, they've mistyped shoulder and they've only put hip. Like, how the hell did they stuff that up? And then I read it and I'm like, all right, I got to write it because that's what it says in the press release. But I reckon it's a shoulder, but maybe it's not. So let's see when that more information comes out later this week as to whether he is in or out for this week's round in Philadelphia. I expect it to be out. Could be wrong, but we have nothing of solid information to say what was the injury to begin with. So there we are at this point with Eli Tomac. But don't be surprised if we don't see him again until outdoors. And pending if it is a hip or not, I was having a chat on Facebook with one of the people commenting on the post. They were saying about, it's a shoulder, it's only an AC joint separation, it's only 4 to 6 weeks. Well, yeah, if it's a grade 2 to 3 AC separation, which would give him plenty of time to be back. But if he broke a collarbone, gets it plated, it could be less. If he dislocated a shoulder, could be more. If it's a hip and it requires surgery, it's definitely more. So whether that's just a labral tear or some other sort of compression fracture in the socket of the ball of the socket, yeah, definitely could be longer. So we're speculating right now, we're spiraling, but we don't know. Typical sort of Eli Tomac situation, unfortunately. There's not enough information to make an accurate judgment. It's how he rolls. He doesn't give too much to the media until he does in terms of like after the fact. So we have to wait until that point.
And I wonder too if there was no previous injury or any concerns, whether he just gets back up and keeps going. Yeah,
don't know. But I reckon you're not far from the truth around the breathing and like the head. Like I always look at his helmet. Whenever he has a decent digger, his helmet always looks like it's over his face, like the peak comes down and stuff. And I feel like he just, saw a few stars for a minute there as well. So anyway, we'll see. Drew Adams, the other one we need to talk about. That PR is just waiting on more news. The Pro Circuit one from Kawasaki, just waiting on more tests and stuff. We do believe, and just looking at that crash and how he held his arm, and there was a big step in his wrist. If you got a good look at it when you were sitting there on that tough block or side of the jump, his left forearm, you could see that his wrist was below and his forearm was above, so there's a step in that thing. I dare say he's broken radius and ulnar, and he's going to need some decent surgery to correct that. I don't have that in written proof yet from the team press release. I dare say you'll see that later this week when they announce when he's out for this weekend coming up. Unfortunately, that's probably going to stuff the start of his outdoor series because that is going to be an 8 to 12 week recovery at best. So yeah, not a great time for Drew Adams in Supercross this year. He was starting to show some promise in a couple of spots here and there. But yeah, the thumb injury and now this wrist forearm injury. Yeah, terrible Supercross season for Drew Adams in 2026.
Yeah, and to come off, only just come back from injury and have this happen, it's, you sort of, got to be a bit down after that.
Yeah, it can't be good. Can't be good at all. So anyway, moving on. That's the end of the emergency department segment, Benny. But I've got to bring this over here for our next segment. We've got to get this one on the screen, and I've got to get my lovely face behind it as well. Product inspection highlight time. We have got
a toy model of Jed Beaton.
Yeah, look, he's just really small. We can
bobblehead.
Well, not quite, but maybe they could put one of those in it. That'd be cool. But we've got a from Yamalube, and thanks to Yamaha Motor Australia, with obviously the WR250 2026 model that we've got going on. It's due for its first oil change. They are due at 7.5 hours on these bikes from new. You can track that in the Power Tuner app via Yamaha. But I got sent this to do the change, and it's actually really good. It comes with a litre of oil, which you only need, I think it's 0.7. I'd have to double check that number. I did read it yesterday in the manual that you can download from the instructions inside this box, and you have the step-by-step guide on how to change the oil and filter. But this comes with the 1 litre of oil that I need. It also comes with the oil filter that I need and a change of the O-ring to go on the back of the oil cap. So I'm pretty stoked. This is a pretty neat little kit to make your maintenance side of things very easy. So yeah, can't complain on that one, Benny.
Yeah, that's a lot better than having to go to the local bike shop and buy them all separately.
Well, and rely on part numbers and stuff too. Like this one literally just has, on the front, YZWR oil kit. Perfect.
Yep. Sounds good to me.
Can't go wrong. Good stuff there from Yamalube and Yamaha Motor Australia. All right. I think it's time to figure out how we're watching the racing again, Benny, this weekend. The only race we've got this weekend is the Super Motocross from Philadelphia. And I believe 3 a.m. this weekend for Race Day Live.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you got to make sure you got your phone that has a quad lock case on it.
Oh, yeah. Yep, nice.
And then download the SMX app. And then, 3 a.m. is Race Day Live and 9 a.m. is the night show.
So a bit of a change in the timing this week. The last couple of races have been day programs. This one will be back to a night program from that timing. And 9 a.m. is actually a really sweet time for the Sunday morning for everybody here. We've got, at least in New South Wales, I don't know about everywhere else, but Anzac Day is Saturday. So, lest we forget on that side of things, and everybody doing marches and maybe some tool up later in the day. So people will be looking forward to that. But then Sunday, recovery point, 9 a.m, you'll be able to wake up and watch the racing. And you've got Monday off as well in New South Wales because they've added Labor governments, added in a public holiday for us all. Good to see the Labor people who are all about working, taking a day off. It's awesome.
Yeah.
That's about as political as I'll get here. But yeah, so plenty of time to watch it. But yeah, 9 a.m, I'm stoked on that start time, Benny. You don't have to worry about you falling asleep, mate.
Yeah, no, well, I'm going to the Essendon Collingwood Anzac game on Saturday. And then probably straight back in the car around about that time to come home. So I think I'll make early drive. I'll have the Starlink Mini on the roof and we'll just
away we go.
Away we go.
Yeah. Sounds like a plan, mate. So, no, all good. So, Race Day Live, night show, all via the Super Motocross Video Pass there for the international viewers. Check it out. And like I said last week, I couldn't believe it when I watched the racing back. They'd taken out those big gaps in the ad breaks. They'd actually trimmed them out. So that was very handy. If you're more than 2 days after the event, they'll have trimmed it up for you. Now, motorcycle-wise, everyone has a peg on their bike. And if you need some new pegs, then you should be looking at pivotpegs.com. They have a pivoting action. They are super wide. And they've reduced the wear of your boot soles. I can vouch for this 100% because I used to eat boots, the soles of the boots within a couple of rides. I can now make a full season with pivot pegs. So check out pivotpegs.com to get some new pegs for your bike. Now, weather updates, Benny. Philadelphia, open air stadium on the East Coast. It's going to be super warm there. It's going to be 7 to 11 degrees Celsius. I actually saw earlier in the week it was 0 to 7 on a day. So it's actually warm compared to some of the other days this week heading up to it. But it did also list for Friday and Saturday drizzle. So we could get a little bit of interesting weather here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'd like to know how Hunter goes. So sort of going back, different timing too, being at Triple Crown. But if Hunter got out front, would he have just led a full main at that, that time in that weather? But being different timing, if it was going off the first main, obviously it wasn't raining. But yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, we'll have to see what he does because we're back to 20-minute and 15-minute mains for the 450 and 250 races this weekend. So normal programming, no more Triple Crowns. They are done for this season, and we only have 3 rounds left. So we're at the pointy end of the season, the business end, as they say. So, yeah, we'll see how this all goes. All right, so upcoming events. Obviously, Philly this weekend, 25th of April. It's round 15 of the AMA Supercross. New South Wales State Motocross titles, round 3 at Dubbo are coming up May 2nd and 3rd. Our AusProMX round 3 will be at Gilman in South Australia on May 10. On that same weekend, the MXGP round 7 will be in Great Britain. So that they got a little bit of a gap now in the MXGP program. Interesting to see Hurlings get the win there in MXGP class at Trentino. I've got to say, Benny, I actually looked up that Trentino location because it's pretty picturesque. Every time I see that track, it always looks really cool. I think I might have to put that one on the bucket list for a travel to one day in Europe. It's in northern Italy, but it definitely super cool looking venue.
Have you done much of Europe at all?
I've done 0 other than a fly-in, fly-out of Barcelona to test the Stark. So,
yeah.
So, no, it's not something I've done.
Put it on the bucket list.
Yep, it'll be on there. So, that'll be May 10 for that Great Britain round of MXGP, which will be round 7. The following weekend, the Australian Enduro Championship is going to be back in action at QMP on May 16-17. Hard Enduro Championship is going to be Marumba Madness on May 23-24. And then we've still got a massive gap to the New South Wales Off-Road Championship in Griffith, which is July 18-19. It's a fair way off in the program there. So a bit of a gap in the New South Wales Off-Road calendar in the next few weeks.
And all right. Also a fair way from anywhere.
And yeah.
I'm just out here on my own little island.
Yeah, you've got that one little room and there's nothing for miles, right? Yeah. Yeah. Good times. All right, Benny, we might drop you off the call here. We're going to get to our Ryder Malinoski interview, and then we're going to come back and wrap this show up. Actually, no, I'm going to do the outro, and then we're going to let the interview play, and we're going to close it straight out from there. So I'm going to say thank you to everyone for listening and watching. If you're not watching, you should be on our YouTube channel, subscribing to it. If you're not listening later on because you want to catch up or hear something again, subscribe to your favorite podcast player to do so. Don't forget to get those t-shirt orders in, info@alwaysmoto.com. Don't forget to join the YouTube channel and subscribe to it so that you can help support the show. What else? Written articles. We've got a few of them. We've got our quad lock one and our mark-off one are up on fullnoise.com.au, along with links to the WR inspection articles as well as the Stark ones. So there's plenty of stuff going up on fullnoise.com.au over there. That's it for another show. Not quite, because we've got the interview coming right up after this. But thanks to technicmotorsport.com, thanks to duramoose.com.au, Yamaha Motor Australia, Pivot Pegs, Tech 167 3D Printing, all for the show support. Thanks to the wife and kids for letting me get this done. We will see you at the track. Benny, final thoughts before we hit into the Malinoski interview here?
Enjoy the interview and enjoy Philly.
Yeah, enjoy Philly, everybody. Watch it on that Super Motocross Video Pass. All right, Benny, thank you, sir. We'll talk to you next week.
Right. Thank you. See you later.
All right, as we just flip these things around here, get to our Malinoski interview. So Ryder Malinoski of ClubMX Yamaha joining us on the Always Moto show. Let's get to it. All right, we've got him on the line. You can probably see him on the call if you're on the YouTube side of things. If you're on the podcast, well, why aren't you listening or why aren't you watching on our YouTube channel as well? So you should be coming over and joining us on here. But you can see his face here. It's Ryder Malinoski. He's the number 9 in the SMX Next program. He's riding that ClubMX Yamaha in the States there. He's also been over in Australia. We're going to talk to him about his big season or big 12 to 15 months that he's got going on here because he's going to be in a few other places as well, I believe. So we'll find out about that here very shortly. But welcome to the show, Ryder. How are we doing, mate?
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, we're doing great.
Yeah, as I was saying in that intro piece, I think if I've worked this out correctly, the 15 months or so from when you turned up in Australia for our Supercross series, which was technically 2025, through to about that point that, end of this year, you're going to have been in Australia. Let me get this round. You're going to Australia, you're going to do SMX Next. I think you've got Canadian MX. You're going to do Loretta's. You're possibly going to have a pro debut for outdoors. And then you possibly, and I'm hopefully ask this and maybe you can nod or smile or wink or maybe you can't give it away, but maybe back for Australian Supercross again. I don't know. This is going to be a massive little 12 to 15 month period for you if all of that goes to plan, as you obviously hope it will do.
Yeah, no, it's going to be, if all that is achievable, that would be amazing. Definitely don't know yet on a lot of that, but the plan is to stay healthy, and I would love to be able to get all that done this year. This year moving forward, that'd be amazing.
So that is all, like if everything stays right, if the results are there, if the body stays healthy, you don't have any, unfortunately in Moto, there's injuries and whatnot. But if none of that happens, we are looking at a pro debut at the end of this sort of run here.
I mean, yeah, I can't say for sure that that's the plan, but I mean, if the things are going well and I'm riding well, I know the team here at ClubMX would definitely be open to it. And but yeah, we'll see. I'm doing Canadian pro racing this summer, and that's the first priority for me. That and Loretta's, but yeah, the plan is to go to Canada and compete for the championship, and we'll just go from there. But there's going to be some good guys up there, so if I can compete with them, I think I can do pretty well in the States too.
Yeah, look, there's nothing. It's always an interesting thing. You found this out already. I think you've done Canadian nationals before, haven't you? So this isn't new, but like going to their series, coming to our Australian Supercross series, you might be the top dog in your little spot over here, but when you go to the other places, as much as you might be a better level, their level rises, and you've got to deal with other factors of being different country, maybe not completely familiar with the team or the bike or the equipment because it might be a slightly bit different to what you've got at home. So then you've got to work through all those other factors. So it's always a challenge, right?
Yeah, 100%. When I went over and did, the Australian Supercross, I was so great for the opportunity. It was an awesome time, but it definitely was a learning curve for me. I definitely had to put myself out of my comfort zone and go over there and do some racing. And I'm happy I did. It only helped me with everything, with racing and all. But yeah, it's a challenge, but I'm up for it.
So as we were talking about Loretta's and stuff like that coming through here as well and racing Canadian, the one big thing I think I saw earlier for this year from the Mike B updates that come through, your deal with ClubMX, you got extended a bit further. So you're a bit more secure now with the future at least for the immediate period, which is great news. And that included going through to that pro level point of the start of the deal there for you with that. So that's got to be a nice little feeling for you to achieve that and have that familiarity, and the guys that you've been working with, recognize that you are on a level that they want to keep working with.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, I'm super excited to be, extending with ClubMX through the end of 27. So that means I'll be full pro here in the US in 27, and it's going to be a big year for me. But that's why this year is a lot of just preparation for that too, and all. But I'm super excited and happy and grateful to be going pro with this team.
So you mentioned it there in the I think when we're talking pre-record and stuff, and I wanted to ask you obviously now, but the start of this year from the AMA side of things was a bit of a, let's say, nightmare in a few different manners for you. That accident at Anaheim 2 there in that Supercross Next race, obviously lots of people saw it. It went around from the video aspects and stuff, but I guess first and foremost, how are you now? Like you obviously got back on the podium. Everything looks like it's back to normal. Is everything body-wise like recovered? And because that was a fairly quick turnaround and a fairly significant thing that you went through there for a short period of time, that you seem A-okay, which is great, but are we all good?
Yeah, we're all good. We're all healthy, 100%. But it takes a lot on you mentally when you have an injury like that. I had to overcome some mental battles for sure, on just being able to get back to where I was. There was a lot of behind the scenes work we had to put in that no one would know and no one would see unless you've been in that situation. But yeah, it was tough. It was super tough to come back and get to 100%. And I would say I'm happy, but yeah, I'm 100% now, and we're all good. And we're moving forward.
So do you? And I hate bringing it up because it comes up to me sometimes with people when I've had some big injuries at different points, and whenever somebody mentions something, it's always like, eh. But then I end up sitting here talking about the same sort of shit to other people because it's what people want to hear, right? So I get it if you tell me to F off at this point, but all those videos and stuff, and you're obviously in a different scenario, right? This was on national television. Do you see all that stuff? Did you want to watch it? Do you still get it brought up? And like, obviously, there's going to be things that maybe get retagged a month, 6 months, 12 months from now that you're still going to go, oh shit, there that thing is again. Did you see all that? Did you block it off? Does it get to you?
I did see all of it, and when I went back and did Birmingham, SMX Next race, I knew there was going to be a lot of that.
They didn't run
Just
it on the
seeing
big
it.
screen or something, did they, in the stadium right before it? Or
No, no, they didn't do that. But
okay.
it was a lot. It was a lot for sure. And the biggest thing I think, as a racer, you just have to face is like that's gonna happen. Crashes are gonna happen. You're gonna get hurt, and no matter how gnarly it is or whatever, if this is what you want to do, that's the price you pay. And we all know that lining up on the starting line. That was just unfortunate circumstance that night, but. We're healthy now. We're better, and yeah, we just had to move on. And it was tough though. It was definitely tough seeing that, and still is. I don't like watching it, but at the end of the day, it's a crash. It happens. It's not the last one that's going to happen. So it's part of it.
No, and like obviously, as I was doing a quick little research this morning before we hit record here for myself, I was just having breakfast, and I'm like, I just need to check back through who was it, and it was Max Shane that you landed on and stuff like that. And I'm like, the video came up again, and I even think I even saw a different angle again, and I'm like, oh, yeah, he doesn't want to know this shit, like moving on. Like it's just there, but it's so prominent these days with socials that it just literally will fill up your feed whether you want it to or not at some point. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a pain in the ass. But on the positive side, like you said, you recovered. The podium you got straight back afterwards, that had to be like just justification of the work you put in to get yourself back there, right?
Yeah, 100%. It was really rewarding. Like I probably wouldn't say I was the podium guy that whole day. I definitely wasn't riding like I was deserving of it. But that class is crazy, man. The SMX Next class is crazy. There's a lot going on in those first couple laps, and I just knew if I stayed up and was able to put myself in a kind of decent position, I knew that was possible for sure. And just being healthier now and being getting back to where I am, that class, no matter how good you are, you have to be, you have to do the ABCs right. You have to get through the first turn. You have to stay up the whole race, and you have to pick your way off. But no, it was, yeah, it was good.
What is it you think about those SMX Next races? Because you just hit the nail on the head there about like there's you didn't think you were a podium guy, but you ended up being sort of at that point. There seems to be like two or three guys that get to the front early. Then those two or three guys have like stupid crashes or jump off the track because they miss like clip a rhythm and can't stop for the berm and go over a berm. And then two other three guys end up in that position, and then they do similar things, and it's sort of like this massive big switch around. I don't know whether it's just you guys are so excited to try and prove and show yourselves, or if there's just little that inexperience in skill that you can't do it at that intensity for that long and you just make a mistake. Is there something that you think as you're coming through and learning all this yourself that stands out as to why this keeps happening? Because they are exciting races, I will say that much.
Yeah, they're very exciting, but I would say I've been on both ends of the thing. I've won a race, and then have been leading a race and then crash last lap,
Yep.
while I'm winning it. So I've been part of that, man. But I would just say it's probably just a little bit of lack of experience. I would say, like, we all, I would say, the top five SMX Next racers that are, your guys who can win, or we're fast. We're able to go to the pros for sure and be able to run with them. You see, the star guys now doing that.
Yep.
Some of the amateurs are coming up and they're racing pros, and obviously they have the speed. They're fully capable of doing really well, but we still are a little bit on the side of lacking of just the experience, on the side of getting the results in the main events and stuff like that. Like, I think if I was to go pro right now, I would be fast, but I don't think I would be able to get the whole job done. It's a big ask. That class is gnarly, but SMX Next prepares us the best possibly they could. And I think, a lot of us are just right there, real close, and a couple more races, a little bit more time, and a lot of us will be right there.
Yeah, no, and definitely. And I think what you're doing with these Canadian rounds and like even when you did the Australian stuff, like you're adding some race experience that as much as the SMX Next is giving you some of that, it doesn't give you heaps, right? Like what is it, 5 or 6 rounds across the year in terms of there's 2 motocross or 3 motocross and 2 or 3 SX. There's not heaps of racing for you guys at that level. And you're obviously not just able to go and do any old event outside of those 6 and find people of your level that you can then sort of get experience from. You're not in a stadium, you're not with a crowd, you're not with that pressure and the team there and stuff like that. You could go to a club event and have a run, but like I said, you're not going to get that same sort of pressure. So you going to those sorts of Canadians and Australian supercrosses and stuff like that is giving you some more of that experience. So I think you're building a better base of that stuff and getting those things ticked off sooner, which is good. But this is also then going to lead you into a point, especially for this Canadian run. If you do, they've got what, 12 nationals, 10 nationals?
Eight
Eight.
nationals.
Oh, it's even shorter than, okay. It's just like our Aussie one, only 8, which we can laugh about at another point. But at least then those run, you're going to be really well prepped heading into Loretta's. You're not just going to be turning laps at the training facility, right? Like that, those motos you're going to be in a different level by that point for Loretta's, which I gather is why you're doing this.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I mean, that's the plan with me is just I'm, as a lot of people know, I did start late in the sport, right? So I do have to just catch up on a lot of racing. I feel like not even just catch up, but more so just be better at racing. I just lack racecraft. I lack a lot of that stuff when it comes into a race. I feel and my team feels. So we're just gonna do what's best for me to get the most gate drops that's possible and get me, to the level where we know we can be to achieve the goals that we have set out for us.
So you're going to be flying back and forth from club during the week to the Canadian races to still keep training with the main crew that you always would, or are you staying up there for a longer period during this?
Yeah, last year I flew back and forth, but this year I'm going to be fully with the MX 101 team in racing Canadian Nationals. So I'll be up there a little bit more. I
Yep.
think I'll be up there for 3 or 4 weeks or so when they do their run of races.
Yep.
But I'll come back and forth a couple times for sure.
Because you're going to want to be able to, I gather like you do right now, and I'll bring it up. You're out doing some of these guys at times on the recent video this week from a start point of view. Nice work on the little free dinner that I think you won from Daniel Blair. That was pretty cool on the socials. If nobody's seen that one, go back and check it out on Daniel Blair's little Insta page there. But yeah, you want to come back and obviously run with the guys that are doing the AMA training and stuff, so you can keep gauging speed, right? Like you don't want to be up there and yes, getting the experience of racing, but you want to be obviously keeping an eye on the pace of the racing from the AMA side thing, which is where you want to be this time next year, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So how is it riding with some of those guys? Like you've got a big team of people there, obviously at the club facility, but when you talk just your club teammates in terms of like Cody Schock, Devin Simonson, Max Foal, and Hunter Yoda, you're out there on the track pretty much with them all the time. I gather obviously if they're split coast, you might not see 2 of them at times, but this week in the last few weeks, you're probably having all 4 of those guys plus a couple of extras there. It's got to be a fast group to be a part of, and probably difficult at times to sort of find your way in terms of being at the top of like a practice lap time sort of thing.
Yeah, 100%. It's a battle every day. I know everybody thinks, I've never been to Star Racing, but I know everybody says that's a meat grinder of a place every day. But honestly, ClubMX it's pretty gnarly, man. We train hard every day. We go at it, and obviously with having Chad Reed in our corner, training us and pushing us, and also Brandon Haas, the owner out there too, of ClubMX. him being out there too and putting his twist on things too. Like it's a battle. It's a battle every day. And yeah, the pro guys are fast. The pros will not let the amateurs have anything. That's for sure. They call us, because we still are amateur for sure. And yeah, they don't want us having anything, but we want to beat them every day. And that's what we do. We go at it every day and we try to be better.
So is every time you're on the track, is there some form of like timing or like positioning? Like you're always sort of in a competition, let's say. Is there any point where you're just literally out there going, all right, we don't care how fast this moto is, we're just going for a period of time for it's not like you're doing your cardio sort of things, and you're zoning or anything. You just literally every time you're on the moto, it's max intensity, I gather.
Not every time, but yeah, most of the time. I would
Yeah.
say probably 90% of it is for sure. There's definitely times though where we work some technique and there's times where we just have to do our motos, but a lot of the time on Supercross it is sprints and even if it is a moto, like if we start out staggered, we want to get the guy in front of us
Yeah.
and we don't want the guy behind us to pass us. So you're definitely pushing hard and you're trying your best day in and day out, that's for sure.
That's just got to be pressure. Every time you're pulling the helmet on, rolling down to the track, you got to like be ready to go. That's got to be difficult, I guess.
Yeah, it makes the weekends easy though if you do it right.
Well, true, but I've seen some of those videos at times there, and I think I heard like you guys are putting each other over berms at times, like because you're trying to just at the intensities there that you'd have at the race, for a position, but obviously you're not getting paid for that position when you do it on the practice track. So it's there, right? Like you're learning these things in the hardest sense of the word of learning at the practice track when your teammate goes, here you go, see that side of the berm instead of this side. So.
Yeah, no, that's true for sure. It's definitely it's a team sport, but at the same time, it's a solo guy, in the helmet. So I don't know. It's been good though. I've seen a lot of benefit, I would say, with all the club guys this year on just with more intensity and stuff like that. The results maybe haven't been there, but we're right there and we're getting better, all of us.
Now you mentioned too having Chad Reed there at club this year. Had you known him before he turned up there for that? I think it was a Blue Crew ride day with the family, and then all of a sudden it just seemed like he never left. Did you know him before that? Had he seen or spoken to you at all before that? And all of a sudden you've just got two-time AMA Supercross champ, working with you guys. Like, did you have anything to do with him before that point?
Not really, no. I mean, I did the combines and I did like the races where the coaches,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
combines that help. So he was never my coach. I always had Brock Lever, but he was like one of the coaches. And if you ever needed anything, you can talk to all the coaches
Mm-hmm.
there. So I've had a conversation with him or two, but never really any type of relationship at all until yeah, he came here to Club Mex.
So how's he been then for you in terms of is he spend much time with you being in that this sort of next step down? Because I know he's doing obviously most of his focus would be those top four guys of the team there for club, but does he spend much time with you, or is it because you're in that main group that you get basically all the same sort of information and access to when he's talking to the group there?
Yeah, it's all the same. Yeah, he has the four pros, and then it's me and Justin Turner, the two amateur guys that are racing the SMX Next class. And yeah, it's pretty much us six, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Like
Yep.
us six are in all pretty much the meetings. Obviously, we don't get quite the support, obviously, as the pro guys do on the side of like bike stuff and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But on the side of training and all the stuff like that, yeah, it's all the same.
Yeah. So is it benefiting you? Do you see stuff that he says to you that you're like, I don't think anybody else or many other people would be able to tell me what he just told me?
I would say, yeah, like there is. I mean, it's obviously like Chad Reed has, he can't, he's done it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's won championships and stuff like that. So no matter what you think about what he said, like he's done it. So there's no arguing that. Like I would say for sure, there's certain things on the side of like whoops and certain sections we've been working lately, and he'll just get on the bike and do it for you. If you're doing it wrong, he'll show you how to do it, and it's just like so easy to him. So you really don't ever have an excuse of why you can't do this or anything like that. He's he's very intelligent. He knows how to ride a dirt bike just so well, and he's it's definitely makes sense why he was a champion.
Yeah, no, look, there's not too many for his scenario. Like, you obviously can have coaches that raced at that level that he did, but to have a coach where you're basically coming up to the level that he raced at, and that coach to still be able to jump on and potentially outdo you in a section to show you what you're doing wrong. There's not probably too many of those sorts of people still out there able to do that, right? There's a very small percentage at your level, at least, as well. So, yeah, I think it'd be cool. And I've seen some of his little clips that he puts out. Like, obviously, he only puts out small amounts of those sorts of technique-based things on socials. But when you do hear him talk about some sections, he does bring up points about the bike, about your posture, about other things that, I don't know. I don't think other people, at least I haven't heard it, come across in that manner. So, yeah, I think seems at least he's done it for long enough. He's done the most Supercross races ever. He should know a thing or two about it, and he seems to be able to get it across, which is something that other people struggle to do in terms of teaching. So, yeah, no, that's pretty cool. You can mention to him too that he can text me back. I did send him a text the other week, and I'm still waiting on that back thing. So we can bring that up later.
Will do.
So what's on the plans for you? Obviously, next week is the next Supercross Next for you. How's the run up for that? We're doing this on basically the Friday before Cleveland, but we've got all of next week. What's the plan in that week for you? Does it change much being a race week?
No, not really. I mean, the only thing that's a little bit different leading up to the last race of the SMX Next is that we do get, I think, press day Friday.
Oh,
So
cool.
we won't have to really put in, we're not going to put in too hard of a training day right before Friday, obviously. So my plan, I think, is just ride 2 days that week leading up to Friday press, and then, yeah, hit press day up and just have some fun with that. I mean, that's going to be pretty awesome. We get to even do that for the last race for us this year, inside of Supercross. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that. And no, nothing's really going to be different. Just kind of keep in the routine. But we're starting to incorporate a little bit more of outdoors now and getting ready for that. But other than that, no, just kind of the same old for sure.
So is this going to be your first press day then?
Yeah, I think it's all of us. Yeah, I think all of our first press days. Yeah, so it'll be cool.
Yeah, nice. It's you're going to get most of the track in. You're going to get to see it and all that, and you get time to not really have a lap time against you, so you can just throw a few whips and whatnot. So enjoy this empty stadium and have a look around, right?
Yeah, exactly. It'll be a fun time.
Yeah. So no, that's cool. But this one as well, in terms of this last one, I believe this is the one that they're going to hand out the number one plate for as such. Does this make any difference to you in terms of, you said you've won one before, you've been on the podium before. It's not necessarily a series, is what I understand from how it still works, but they still give out a championship as such at the end of this. Does this one matter more than the other couples that you've done? Or do they all seem the same to you in terms of you just got out there to perform your best?
Yeah, I would say they all mean the same. Obviously this one is like, I guess, the championship round, if you want
Yeah,
to call it. But I would say this one means the same as the other ones. But if you are gonna win one of them, this is the one to win for sure. So no, I'm looking forward to it, and I think it's gonna be super cool. And my teammate won it last year, and DB's had some good luck with these. Daniel Blair, he had
mm-hmm.
Cole Davies who won the first
True.
one. Alex Fetterstoff won the last one. So I think it's time to keep that streak going.
I'm sure he'll be letting people know about that too next week when he's on all these different shows as well. So I'm sure he'll let it out. All right. Well, yeah. So then, all right, if we switch after that, how long have you got until the next race after that for you? When does the Canadian Series kick off?
June 7th, the
Oh, so
Canadian
you've got a bit of a break
series.
then.
Yeah, I got a little bit of a break. I'm gonna do my regional, I think, for Loretta's. Do that in between, I guess. But other than that, it's pretty much just get ready for the first Canadian National.
Do you find that hard then? Like I was thinking you wouldn't have too much of a break, but like in terms of between switching from one to the next, but like, do you find it harder in this window because what you're doing at the moment, there's such big gaps between some of your events, right? Whereas when you think about what you're going to do, let's say next year's everything's as we expect it to be, you're racing pro, you've got week on week events and then a big gap, especially because you'll do one coast and not the other in Supercross. But then for outdoors, it's week on week again. Is this weird to you? Like you go such a long period at times between an event. Like how do you not, just wander off in the mind and lose focus?
No, for sure, and that's that's kind of why Canada's going to be on the cards this year for me, is just because it is, a race weekend after weekend, pretty much, at least for 4 or 5 rounds, I think. So, but still, that's nothing compared to the US schedule,
Mm.
right? So, yeah, I would say it's definitely a big, turnaround for the people that are getting the rookies, I would say, in the US. But we're gonna deal with that when the time comes. But we're just trying to prepare ourselves for sure. That's part of the process of just preparing ourselves for 27, for me at least. And yeah, it's crazy. It's a big difference.
Yeah, it's massive. Like as much as like we said it a little bit, but like that SMX Next program is great, but it's still not close in a lot of aspects in terms of what you're then going to do after that. Like when you do make that transition, there is such a big step in terms of volume of events, the intensity, the different level of racing, just the amount of times you're on track. Even like you said, press day is a new thing for you this time. Yes, it's one thing you're getting exposed to for this weekend with SMX Next, but you potentially do that 4 or 5 times in a season, maybe more, so yeah, there's a lot to change when you go to the next steps, but you're getting closer to that point. It's got to be getting exciting. That that's on the horizon here shortly. So, yeah, and to be locked up and ready to go with club, that's got to be good too. So, uh, you're in a great spot. I don't know what else to say. You're in a great spot from where things are going. You just got to make it all come true, basically.
Thank you, and yeah, I appreciate it, and that's the goal, that's the plan, is just do the best I can moving forward in all the races. But we're doing our best we can, here at ClubMX, preparing ourselves the best we can to achieve those goals. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see how I can do, but also excited to show you guys what I got.
So can we ask now, probably the last question, and you can cut off here. If the signal drops out, we'll understand. Is there any Australian Supercross return for you, or is that not able to be talked about at this point?
Yeah, there's really nothing actually really on the cards for it, to be honest. I haven't really got a call or anything like that. So we'll see. I mean, if the opportunity comes about, I'd be extremely grateful, and I think definitely would want to come back. I mean, I definitely want to get some redemption from last year, that's for sure. But nah, we're just gonna keep chipping away. We're just gonna keep getting better. And I know when you're doing good, the phone's ringing. So
Yeah,
that's the
definitely.
plan.
That does help, right? Like if you're a winner somewhere, somebody wants you somewhere else, so that would help. But look, I know that our crews are only just literally they're going to round 2 this weekend for the national side of things. It's a long way off before they start thinking that sort of stuff, so they probably haven't even got to that plan yet. But yeah, I guess one, if you're interested, that's perfect because I'd love to see you back down here. But two, I guess the other part of that is that as long as you're allowed to with whatever your contract there with club is, and that they're happy for it too. I know they let guys out to do World Supercross and that sort of stuff. So maybe you'd be pushed into that to give you some other experiences. We'll see how it all plans out later in the year. But yeah, if you're interested, I'd like to see you back. So, well, good man. Well, look, it's been awesome. You're always a good chat. I love to have you on the show. Good luck with the race next week. Say next week, people will be watching this the week of, so it'll be this weekend coming. But yeah, hopefully we see you up on that podium again, and you can maybe stand up on that top step and get that proper number 1 championship for this one. Like we said, doesn't matter whether it was this one or the other ones, but a win's a win, right? And yeah, good luck with the race. Good luck with Canada. Can't wait to see in the Pro Nationals. I will be there in the last 3. So if you're doing those 3, we'll come and check it out, which will be perfect timing for you because it'll be after Loretta's. So maybe we'll come up and sneak a chat in the pits at some point. But yeah, Ryder, thanks, mate. We'll catch you on the next one.
Sweet. Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, and I love doing it.
Easy as. Thank you.